The history of the red heifer, Hebrew, para aduma, is deeply tied to Jewish ritual purification and end-times prophecy. It originates from the Torah, specifically Numbers 19, where God commands the Israelites to sacrifice a completely red, unblemished heifer to purify those who have come into contact with death. Before we start, we'd like to ask for your support. If you enjoy our video, please hit the like button. This will help us reach more people and create content for you. Now let's get started with today's video. The red heifer, para aduma, is one of the most enigmatic and significant elements in Jewish tradition, biblical prophecy, and eschatology. It is closely linked to the concept of ritual purification and the anticipation of the Third Temple in Jerusalem. Throughout history, the search for and significance of the red heifer has intrigued scholars, theologians, and prophecy watchers alike. This paper explores the origins, historical importance, prophetic implications, and contemporary relevance of the red heifer. Biblical origins and ritual significance. The red heifer is first mentioned in the book of Numbers 19. According to the Torah, God commands Moses and Aaron to find a completely red, unblemished heifer that has never been yoked. The heifer is to be sacrificed outside the camp, and its ashes are used for the purification of those who have come into contact with a corpse. The ritual. The heifer is slaughtered outside the camp. The priest sprinkles its blood 7 times toward the front of the tabernacle. The entire heifer, including its hide, flesh, and blood, is burned. Cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet wool are added to the burning fire. The ashes are collected and stored. The ashes are then mixed with fresh water and used in a purification ritual. This ritual was considered a paradox in Jewish law. While it purified those who were impure, those handling the ashes became impure themselves. This paradox intrigued Jewish scholars and remains a topic of theological discussion. Historical occurrences of the red heifer. Jewish tradition states that only 9 red heifers were sacrificed from the time of Moses until the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. The Mishnah, Jewish oral tradition, in Para 3:5 lists these heifers, stating that the 10th red heifer will be prepared by the Messiah. First and Second Temple periods. During the times of the First and Second Temples, the red heifer ritual was carried out by the high priests as prescribed by the law of Moses. The ashes were stored for generations and used sparingly to ensure the availability of purification water. The red heifer ritual was central to temple service and maintaining the purity required for priestly duties. The destruction of the Second Temple. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD by the Romans ended the sacrificial system. Without a functioning temple, the red heifer ritual could no longer be performed. This marked a major turning point in Jewish religious practice. Prophetic and Messianic significance. The red heifer is deeply linked to eschatology, the study of end-time prophecies. In Jewish tradition, the ashes of the red heifer are necessary for the purification required to rebuild the temple. Many Jewish and Christian scholars believe that the identification of a new red heifer is a key sign that the Messianic era is approaching. Rabbinic tradition and the 10th heifer. The Mishnah states that there have been 9 red heifers in history, and that the 10th will be prepared by the Messiah himself. This belief fuels speculation among religious groups about the connection between a new red heifer and the arrival of the Messianic age. Christian views on the red heifer. Many Christian eschatologists see the red heifer as a prophetic precursor to the rebuilding of the Third Temple, which is often linked to the return of Christ. Some cite Revelation 11 verses 1-2, which speaks of a future temple in Jerusalem, as evidence that a new red heifer is necessary for end-time events to unfold. Modern searches and discoveries. Since the late 20th century, various Jewish organizations, particularly the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, have actively sought to find a red heifer that meets the biblical requirements. Attempts to breed a red heifer. In the 1990s, efforts to breed a red heifer in Israel and the United States gained media attention. In 2002, a red heifer named Melody was discovered in Israel but later disqualified due to the appearance of white hairs. In 2018, a red heifer was reportedly found in Israel, sparking discussions among religious communities about its significance. In 2022, 5 red heifers were brought from Texas to Israel, raising speculation about the possibility of temple rituals being reinstated. Challenges in finding a red heifer. The Torah's requirements for a red heifer are strict. It must be completely red, with no more than 2 non-red hairs. It must be free of blemishes or defects. It must never have been yoked or used for labor. Due to these stringent conditions, very few cattle meet the criteria, making the identification of a red heifer extremely rare. Political and religious implications. The discovery of a red heifer carries not only religious significance, but also political consequences, particularly in Israel. Temple Mount controversy. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem is one of the most contested religious sites in the world. Jewish tradition holds that the third temple must be built on this site. However, the site is currently home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, 2 of Islam's holiest places. Any attempt to build the third temple would likely trigger geopolitical tensions. Jewish and Muslim perspectives. Some Orthodox Jews see the red heifer as a divine sign of the approaching temple era. Many Muslims and some Jewish sects oppose efforts to rebuild the temple, fearing it could lead to religious conflict. The Israeli government has historically taken a neutral stance on the issue, avoiding actions that could inflame tensions. Theological and philosophical debates. The red heifer as a paradox. The red heifer ritual presents a paradox. Its ashes purify the impure, but render the pure impure. This contradiction has led to philosophical discussions about the nature of purity, holiness, and divine mysteries. Symbolism in Christian theology. Some Christian theologians interpret the red heifer as a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ's sacrifice. They draw parallels between the red heifer and Jesus. Both were sacrificed outside the camp/city, Hebrews 13 verse 12. Both bring purification from sin. Both offer a means of reconciliation between God and humanity. Conclusion: the future of the red heifer. The search for the red heifer continues to be a topic of fascination for religious scholars, prophecy watchers, and those interested in biblical history. While only 9 have been sacrificed throughout history, the anticipation of the 10th, linked to the coming of the Messiah, fuels ongoing interest and speculation. With modern discoveries of potential red heifers, the conversation about the rebuilding of the Third Temple and its prophetic significance remains as relevant as ever. Whether or not these recent finds will lead to the fulfillment of biblical prophecy remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The red heifer continues to be one of the most mysterious and profound symbols in both Jewish and Christian eschatology. Please subscribe my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. Thank you.